So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 13 Pro Max versus Galaxy S21 Ultra. Which to choose? Now, I gotta tell you right away, both of these phones are a little bit delayed in shipping right now, so if you buy one at this time, you might be waiting a little while. S21 Ultra is about a week or two out, but the iPhone 13 Pro Max could be anywhere up to a month out, so just keep that in mind. However, they do come in multiple colors. We have a graphite color here, and the iPhone 13 Pro Max also comes in gold, silver, Sierra blue. The Galaxy S21 Ultra also has quite a few colors, a phantom black, phantom silver. If you want a phantom titanium color or a phantom navy, phantom brown, you're gonna have to wait even 4 to 5 weeks to get that. It's like a custom build on the S21 Ultra. The price of this phone right here starts at $1,100, whereas the price of the Galaxy S21 Ultra starts at $1,200. However, the Galaxy S21 Ultra has these massive trade-in incentives that usually get it way cheaper than that, and you could probably find them used cheaper already, whereas you might have a hard time finding the iPhone 13 Pro Max cheaper right now used anywhere on the market. So right now, I would say overall, I think the iPhone 13 Pro Max is definitely a little more of a costly device. Now, with that being said, let's begin by talking about the builds, the body, the design here between both of them. So I feel like once again, Apple is bringing a similar build they've been doing for a while, like since the iPhone 11 Pro Max. We have the matte texture, we have the stainless steel. You do see the industrial squared edges, which we do like, and it feels a little bit to me like Apple's been doing catch up here to Samsung, as they're trying to one up them or something, because you've seen Samsung comes with the S21 Ultra with all these large lenses, and Apple's like, oh no, we can't let that happen. And then you could see right there, now they have these super large lenses on the back of their phone. Now, I would say Samsung was playing catch up here with this material on the back. As you can see, this is a lot more similar. One thing I will say about the bodies though is that the S21 Ultra does feel a little bit more comfortable to hold just because it's not quite as wide. However, I think the iPhone 13 Pro Max feels like more premium to hold. It just feels slightly more quality, I would say, just because of the stainless steel. But again, the S21 Ultra on the back feels quite similar. One thing I vastly prefer on the S21 Ultra in the build and the design is how they put this texture around the camera. It keeps it super clean. This thing is a smudge fest. It gets dirty extremely quick, and if you're not covering this with a case or some kind of protector, you're going to be cleaning this if you're a little bit OCD about your devices. It gets really dirty in here inside the cameras. Not so much the case on the S21 Ultra. And then if you have a rag and you try to clean the S21 Ultra, you can go ahead and just wipe the lenses real quick. If you wipe the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you might actually get more dust accumulating in there. Now you can see on the sides, again, S21 Ultra has a little bit of a thick camera bump. It looks even thicker, I would say, than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And it's got more of that rounded shape. It keeps that traditional Samsung rounded shape. On the front, the S21 Ultra does have, this curved lip. It's very small, but it's still curved around the edges just a little bit here. And the iPhone 13 Pro Max, fully flat display here. I would say both of them are basically similar type of devices for their respective platforms. If you like Samsung phones, this is essentially, to me, what the 13 Pro Max is to Apple right here. And a lot of people say, well, no, Nick, bro, wait for the S22 Ultra, the Note 22 Ultra, whatever you're going to call it. That's the real competitor. We'll wait till then, but honestly, the S21 Ultra is basically already competing perfectly fine with this device. Overall, though, with the build, we have IP68 on both of them. The S21 Ultra is the slightly lighter device here at 227 grams. However, if you could handle the S21 Ultra, you could easily handle this phone, but it weighs 240 grams. So there's more weight to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And I do have to say, stainless steel is a little bit more of a durable material than the aluminum edges for the Galaxy S21 Ultra. So it's got a slightly higher build quality in that sense. Overall, they both feel fantastic. Now, talking about one of the areas that Apple majorly improved this year was the display. So you can see right here, if I go ahead and raise the brightness, it gets up to 1,000 nits. And I already tested this with my light meter. You can use 1,000 nits on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now over here, I already tested the S21 Ultra. Usable, I'm only reaching around 700 nits or so. So the actual brightness that you can get on the Galaxy S21 Ultra is far lower than the iPhone 13 Pro Max until you get outside. Once you get outside, you hit that sunlight, then you get a ridiculously high brightness, higher than the 13 Pro Max of 1500 nits on the Galaxy S21 Ultra. So technically the S21 Ultra can get brighter, but the usable brightness is brighter for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, both of them do present you with a 120 hertz display, and they can both be turned off. You can put it in low power mode, it automatically disables the 120 hertz display, but it feels extremely smooth here for the 13 Pro Max. And quite honestly, I think it's because iOS, but it feels a little bit smoother to use, I would say, on iOS. I think it's because the software might be slightly better optimized, but it's really tough. Like, if you're just kind of scrolling through, you would never even notice the difference. The S21 Ultra are very smooth. I just think the Android platform in general on a Samsung phone is not quite as optimized, making the iPhone 13 Pro Max just feel slightly more smooth, but it's very, very slight. It's no longer like before where it was night and day. Like, it would take a keen eye to even notice it. So definitely I would say you're not going to notice it. And the S21 Ultra is ridiculously smooth. It's incredibly impressive. And I've always loved this. I feel like if you were using an S21 model phone like the S21 Ultra, you already got to experience, since all the way in the winter, I think this thing came out, you could already experience most of what you're seeing here for the 13 Pro Max. So you were way ahead of the game if you picked up this device. Now, they differ in a couple other areas as well. You can see Samsung sticks with their hole punch. And I kind of like how these do differ, because it kind of tells you who's using a Samsung phone and who's using the iPhone. But you can see Apple goes with a smaller notch. Not quite, I think, as good as this. This is way more all screen feeling in my opinion, and it actually does have higher pixels per inch as well on this phone. 515 ppi. You do have 458 over here on this Super Retina XDR display. So definitely you also get a larger display on this phone. You get 6.8 inches for the Galaxy S21 Ultra, and it kind of feels like the displays are the same size, but I do really just feel like I have more screen in my hand on the S21 Ultra, and that's because of the 89.8% screen to body ratio. That means the display area that you're actually seeing for the Galaxy S21 Ultra is actually quite a bit more, just a few percentage points, but you can tell the iPhone 13 Pro Max, mostly because of this right here, it sits at 87.4. So the more all-screen feel is still the S21 Ultra here between both of these. But I would say either way you go, you're going to be very happy. And it's no longer like they don't have a True Tone like feature on Samsung. They do have the Eye Comfort Shield, which is very similar to that. And again, the notch still cuts in a bit. You can do the same thing on Samsung. If you're looking at a photo right here, let's go ahead and look at a quick photo that I took the other day. And the same thing can happen here on Samsung. The punch hole can cut in, but you know, I think the notch gets in the way a bit more than that punch hole. That's just my personal take. On the whole, both these displays are fantastic, and I think you're going to be very happy either way you go. I really couldn't pick a total winner because they're so good, in fact, that either way you go, it's more about the software. And talking about the software between both of these, you are running iOS 15 on board here. We have the widget support, we have focus modes, you've probably heard these stories multiple times already about iOS 15. It's pretty similar to iOS 14. It just gets refinement year. And overall, it just works. You're used to it, that ecosystem. Same with Samsung. Samsung's getting to the point where I feel like if you use the last iteration of One UI, you're kind of going to be used to this over here as well. You know, you got more customization right out the gate with the Samsung device with the Galaxy theme store, as well as the integration with Microsoft. You do have a lot of those features as well, and Google features. It's a little bit of a mashup of a few. I think the iPhone system is a little more cohesive, a little more sticky across the board, you know, if you're using other Apple products, versus Samsung uses an Android phone and then you use a Microsoft Windows laptop. They do try to throw their own software on top of it, but it's not a true fully, you know, all Samsung experience. It's more of an Android with a Samsung skin on top. Overall, though, you know, this is probably the best alternative you can buy to the 13 Pro Max software-wise, and I enjoy it because of This right here that they added to the S21 Ultra as well was the S Pen. Now, true Note users were like, nope, I'm not taking that. I want an actual Note upgrade. But for those of you who always wanted an S Pen but didn't want to buy a Note because you like the shape of the S21 Ultra and things like that, this was an incredible feature and something that still doesn't exist for the 13 Pro Max. Yes, you can buy a cheap generic stylus, but you're not going to compete with the software that the S21 Ultra offers here. So again, it's the same argument. I feel like the same topic we've been talking about for several years. If you want more features, you got to go with Samsung here. You're going to get more features. You get better multitasking. Samsung still takes better advantage of the larger display, and Apple sticks with the philosophy that people don't want all that complexity. They want it pretty simple, one app at a time. Focus. We don't need to be focusing on two apps. We got new focus modes here. You know, I just feel like Apple's more of a one app kind of company. They don't really want to put you in some complexity. So if you like simplicity, you might still like the iPhone. Overall, the Samsung's still pretty simple to use. I would say software is quite tight here, and Samsung is offering 4 years of software support, so it's no longer like you have a ton more on the iPhone. You do get 5, but yeah, both of them pretty fantastic. It's just down to, do you want more features, multitasking, or do you want iOS with, you know, Apple Watch and, you know, iPad and all that cohesive sticky operating system, you know, mumbo jumbo that you might enjoy. Okay, so we did a performance test already, a speed test. You can check that out. I'll leave it down below, but overall, the iPhone 13 Pro Max hangs there with the S21 Ultra, wins it out in benchmarks. Some applications open faster for the S21 Ultra. Some animations look smoother on the iPhone. Games still open a little bit faster on the iPhone. Here's the deal. You know, you really got to push the iPhone to really take advantage of how it's more powerful. It is more powerful. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you it's not. It's just a faster chip. However, I don't think the person using this is ever going to push these to a level, you know, that you really even notice that. Plus, you have more RAM for the S21 Ultra, 12 gigs. I think you can even get this with 16 gigabytes, depending on the model you went with. So this one gets way more RAM than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. This one gets the faster internal CPU. Either way, you know, these are phones. You're going to have a hard time making either one of these lag up. So I would say if you want to flex, I have the fastest phone, get the 13 Pro Max. But if you're like, I don't care, my phone is still a boss performer, I want all the other features Samsung can offer, then you're going to want the S21 Ultra. It's still going to be a great overall device. So battery life, which is the better option? And I was super impressed with the S21 Ultra's 5,000 milliamp hour battery life performance. It's the best I've seen on a flagship Samsung phone. But then the iPhone 13 Pro Max came around and gave me an hour to 2 better battery life in everyday use. So Samsung has been dethroned here when it comes to overall battery life for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, outshining it. But I will say that it still impresses me on the S21 Ultra, meaning that if I switch over to this device, I'm still making it a day, no problems. So that's the real deal here. Are you going to make it the day between both of these, using them full blast? And the answer is yes. You'll just have a little bit more juice by the end of the day. But I would say if you're using these full blast, both of them still have to be charged at the end of the day. But if you're a light to medium user, you'll be able to stretch into 2 days for both of these devices. But again, it's just going to eke out an hour or so better here for the 13 Pro Max in heavy use. So what I will say is that the iPhone also charges quicker, up to 27 watts. You can hit 25 on the Galaxy S21 Ultra, which is kind of sad because they used to, I think they had a phone where they could hit like 40 watts or something like that. But you do have faster power delivery through USB 3.0, USB-C. On here, USB 2.0 on that phone. This does have wireless quick charging as well, 15 watts. MagSafe also charges at 15 watts on here. So both of them, you know, the charging is pretty comparable, I would say, on both of them. They're both not the fastest out there, but they both get the job done in charging. I will say Samsung really does not compete well in standby time. You know, you do have better standby time than I've seen before, but you cannot beat this iPhone when it comes to this. If you leave this phone in your pocket at 100 and you don't touch it for 4 hours, it's probably at 100. On the Samsung, it'll be at like 98 or 6 even. It could be like down 3 or 4%. I don't know what the deal is with that, but you know, the standby time always disappoints me on these Samsung devices. I don't know why, but I would have to say that I would have to give iPhone the win there. I would say the battery life, I'm gonna pick the iPhone 13 Pro Max here. Okay guys, so I took these cameras out and we're gonna talk about which is better here in a minute. And my whole goal was trying to figure out which was the better camera. And I actually found out what the real differences are. First of all, the iPhone photos, they look a little bit warmer. And the Samsung photos always look cooler. Like they have like this bluish look to them compared to the iPhones, which have a yellowish look. I don't know. That's what I was seeing through my viewfinders. That's with True Tone and Comfort Shield off. Now also, the Samsung just destroyed the iPhone when it comes to zoom. Like you could do 3x here on the iPhone, you could do 10x on the Samsung at optical. So there was just no comparison. If you want to zoom on your phone, the Samsung S21 Ultra makes the iPhone 13 Pro Max look pathetic. You can go up to 100x, you can do 15x here. So the Samsung just took over the game when it comes to zoom. When it comes to video though, Samsung one-ups them here with the 8K performance, which actually looks quite a bit sharper than the iPhone video. However, it's not very easy to take because it's a little bit shaky there. At 4K 60 though, I would say the iPhone video just seemed to have better focus, and it just seemed to be the more reliable video I would want to use on the day-to-day. Also, you do have a cinematic mode for the iPhone, but you have a portrait video mode. I tried both these out. I gotta say that the iPhone one is a little bit easier to use. It just kind of works better, whereas the Samsung one, the blurring, the focusing, it makes you find a face. You could use this one with objects as well, so it's not quite as comprehensive on the Samsung phone. However, with the Samsung device, having a little bit of trouble reaching up there, on the Samsung device, you do have more overall camera features. So if you like to have fun with your camera, there's a little bit more to play around with on the Samsung device. However, Apple does deliver in the quality section. And I would say that what I found is that on the front-facing camera, you get this realistic look for the iPhone. Sometimes so real you're not going to like it. You get a little bit of a softer look, but a pleasing overall skin tone sometimes on the Samsung phone. Whereas on this is how I could describe it. You're going to see your pimples really bad on the iPhone. If you got some pimples, the Samsung can smooth that out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So they got a realistic look here, sometimes too realistic on the iPhone. Over here on the Samsung, very sharp. And Samsung likes to do this over sharpening thing where like the photos will look really sharp. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the samples I took between both of them. And when it comes to storage, the Samsung did offer up to 512 gigs. I got the 128 because I like to manage my storage. But over here, the iPhone 13 Pro Max comes with 1 TB option. Now, Samsung had a 1 terabyte option before, so that's a little strange that they didn't bring it here for the S21 Ultra. But 512 gigs seems to be quite a bit. And one disappointing thing for Samsung power users, they always had expandable memory. S21 Ultra no longer had that, so that definitely angered a lot of Samsung users. As Apple just brought back ports and things on the MacBook Pros, I wonder if Samsung will listen as well and bring back SD card support for Samsung users. We'll have to see what happens there. Now, when it comes to audio, both of them are very loud. Now, I've had both of these for around about a month now, and I want to share with you which one I do believe is the one to go with and help you decide. If you're trying to decide, should I go with the Pro, should I get the regular 13? If that's on your mind, this is going to be a good video for you. So beginning with the iPhone 13. Now this one does come in several colors. So you see it's not only loud, it's very crispy as well. Now on the Samsung, we're at 512 gig option, which is new this year for iPhone 13, and that's quite a bit of storage. Now for the iPhone 13 Pro starts at $990. I feel like at the highest volume, blue, midnight, the iPhone sounds a little better. So external audio, I would have to give it over here. You could turn on Dolby Atmos, but the external audio sounds a little bit better for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Keep in mind though, connectivity wise, you do have Bluetooth 5.2 for the Samsung device, whereas you get 5.0 over there on the iPhone. In addition to that, you do get the Wi-Fi 6 on the iPhone. You get the Wi-Fi 6E on the Samsung device. So Samsung's a little bit higher on the connectivity front, you know, pushing into the more futuristic stuff. You have 5G on both of them, which is very nice. Let's look at those phones. It's like you're using the same thing. It's just, do you want Samsung or do you want Apple? Which one do you prefer? Let me know down below in the comments. And talking about biometrics. Now, biometrics to me is actually a little bit better for the iPhone when you're not wearing a mask, because I like Face ID to unlock stuff. However, when you're wearing a mask or you're out and about, the in-display fingerprint sensor is just awesome. Plus you have this face unlock. I don't have it set up right now, but you can face unlock as well. Some people say that if they're wearing gloves or something like that, Face ID is better. If you have the Apple Watch here for the iPhone, then you can set it up to unlock with a mask as well, but you have to have that accessory. If you're not using that, you're out of luck. So I would say that it just depends. Do you like the in-display fingerprint or do you like Face ID? It's pretty close, it's pretty tight, it just depends. Again, I would have to give Samsung credit for making this available, because, you know, right now during the pandemic, it's easier to unlock this with your thumb than this, unless you're using an Apple Watch. But overall, both of them are very high quality, both of them are very secure. And in the area of phone call quality, both of them have done very well. I would say that I had reception strength equal on both. Very strong. You're not going to have any issues with reception on either of these devices right here, which is a great thing. So in conclusion, which is the better choice between both of these? Well, I think if you look at it spec wise, Apple has taken down Samsung in the chip. You know, some would argue the camera has outwon, and the battery life is a little bit better. So in some of the areas that really matter, I think Apple has won this comparison. But then when you start to take a look at the bigger screen, the sharper resolution, the more, you know, all screen to body ratio, the zoom that just crushes Apple, the 108 megapixel, which is a much better for printout photos. I mean, you know, S Pen experience, Samsung really didn't lose it out here at all. So, you know, I don't really think Apple won up them whatsoever. I actually think they caught up, you know, to the Samsung S21 Ultra, and I just can't wait to see what happens with the S22 Ultra. And I would say that this comparison is basically a draw. You know, it's down to, do you want iOS and do you want everything what basically, if you loved what the S21 Ultra had to offer, you were a little bit jealous and you just wouldn't want to switch to Samsung, you'll probably want to get the 13 Pro Max. It's pretty close of a competitor to that phone. But if you still love this device, you can get it with the incentive still. You can get it for like $599 if you trade in a phone, up to $700 off. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.